Good evening. Welcome to Live United. Living United, a chance to hear about all the great things here in the Monadnock region that make a difference in the lives of our citizens, especially our children, which is one of today's features, where we'll be talking about a program called Girls Inc. And today I have joining me Melissa Spiegel. Melissa is program director, development director. It sounds like you wear a lot of hats for Girls Inc. But, let's jump in, because I know for me that I've always thought of Girls Inc. as this sort of running program for girls, because you hear a lot about it. But it's a lot more. It's a lot more about self-esteem and the well-being of our youngest citizens, and especially women. So tell us a little bit about Girls Inc. and how it all started.
Okay, well, Girls Inc. is a nonprofit organization, and our mission statement is we inspire all girls to be strong, smart, and bold. And by that, if you take it a step further, is strong through healthy living, smart through education, and bold through independence. So it is inspiring girls to become strong, smart, and bold women as they get older. We're about an organization that's about 140 years old, so it's a pretty old organization, and it started in New England. When we first started, it was really started during the Industrial Revolution, when women were looking for jobs in sort of the manufacturing industry. So that's sort of how Girls Inc. came about. So it did start in New England. And it's now huge. It's a national organization. And we started here in New Hampshire, in Nashua, serving about 40 girls, and now we serve about 2,000 girls. So that's a huge amount of growth. And what happened was that Girls Inc. has grown from one center in Nashua to now having 3 centers in Concord, Manchester, and Nashua. So there's been a lot of growth over the last, especially I would say the last 20 years. And so we have that arm, which is basically centers where kids come after school, and we run programs where we run research-based curriculum, which I'll get into a little more, but they come after school and during summer camps, and then we also run a Young Women's Leadership program out of those centers. Now, since we can't have a center at every location, the way we reach other kids is through outreach programs. So we go into schools and we do programming in schools, a lot of times during the school day and sometimes after school. So those are called our outreach programs, and that's what we do here in Monadnock County. So in Monadnock County, we actually go into the schools. We meet with guidance counselors, social workers, school administrators, and we determine what the issues are in this community and say, what do you think is the challenges that are facing girls in your community? And based on that, they'll say, well, we have a lot of kids that are struggling with self-esteem, or we have a lot of bullying going on in the school, so we'll come in and we'll do a program around that. And we'll do workshops sometimes, but mostly we do groups of girls over a longer time period, usually 8 weeks to the whole year. So that's really how we are effective in Monadnock County. So my job is basically bringing the programs into more rural parts of New Hampshire, and we're also in Vermont.
So there's multiple schools here in the Monadnock region, because we're actually covering 2 counties, the Hillsborough
Right.
County and the Cheshire County. So what schools do you currently connect with here in the Monadnock region?
Over the last several years, I've been in a lot of different schools. I have been in Cutler Elementary School, Troy Elementary School. I've also been in some schools in Keene, several schools in Keene. The name's escaping me, but Moultonborough, I've been over there.
Mm-hmm.
Peterborough, which...
Conval and...
Yep, some of the middle schools.
Jaffrey Range.
So I've been in a lot of different schools throughout the region, and basically I try to connect with guidance counselors. Also, I've been in some of the schools over in Swansea, I've been in the middle school over there, I've been in the high school over there. So over the last several years, I've been in a variety of schools. And the way that I connect with guidance counselors is basically I will send out an email and tell them, we have funding for this area. If you're interested, let me know. And it's kind of based on who I connect with and the needs. And then from there, we move forward and set up the programs. So I've done a variety of programming from elementary school. I did a lot of programming around, like I said, substance abuse prevention, bullying prevention, that kind of thing, self-esteem building. And then in the high school in Monadnock, I did a program with seniors that was around economic independence and sort of working with seniors that, talking to them about what it's like to be on your own and how to budget, how to balance your checkbook, what is a credit card, what is a credit card interest, and sort of what their options were around graduating and moving on as far as careers go. If they weren't going to college, we talked a little bit about other opportunities, and NHTI came in and talked to the girls also about some opportunities. And so we've done a variety of programming in Monadnock County.
So NHTI, by the way, is New Hampshire Teen Institute here in New Hampshire. Yeah,
I'm thinking of
we're great with acronyms, all of us.
Yes. So yeah, we had the community college come in and talk to them. And so we've had a lot of different guest speakers come in and meet with the kids, not just me talking and meeting with them and using our curriculum, which is basically research-based. So all of our curriculum is developed out of our national office, and it's all research-based. So, but we've had other speakers come in, and when I met with the community college came in and spoke with the girls. And we've had Keene State come in as well. So those are some of the examples of.
So you have some collaborations, but what makes Girls Inc. unique?
I think what makes Girls Inc. unique is that we are a girl-focused program, and we try to really adhere to it just being, focused on girls, which can be a challenge sometimes because it's hard to sometimes stay that focused because people want us to do things for boys, and that's definitely a need. But Girls Inc. focuses heavily on girls, so I think that's really where all of our research comes from. Our programming is really targeted to that. In our centers, it's a very girl-friendly, girl-focused place where it gives the opportunity for girls to sort of feel confident in that way and encouraged in that way. And really, we strive to help them, overcome any challenges they have. And push past any obstacles where they have any challenges being a girl, and just sort of instead embracing being a girl and feeling empowered being a girl and what that means to them, and taking that a step further and really building on that sort of mission, which is inspiring girls to be strong, smart, and bold. So.
And what's really wonderful about that, you're working with such a variety of ages, because if you've been at places like Color, that's elementary school level, all the way up to seniors in high school. So, to have research-based programs, and for our audience, a research-based program is a program that has demonstrated that it works. It's able to collect information and share that information and know that it's having the impact you want it to have. So let's talk a little bit about some of that impact. How does Girls Inc. change young women's lives?
Well, Girls Inc. has a lot of different ways of doing that. One is that we, one of the most basic ones is that we go in and we provide services to girls in the schools that they might not get otherwise. And I think that's why guidance counselors are so embracing of us, because we go in and we do a lot of the issues that are sort of underlying other things, not necessarily being addressed. So we talk a lot about substance abuse prevention, and a lot of guidance counselors have guidelines of things they need to meet to, accomplish, and sometimes we fulfill those voids. So we might do a program on media literacy, and important need in their curriculum, and so we come in and address that. We do a lot of substance abuse prevention programming. That is one program that we do boys and girls, so that's addressing a big need in the community as well. And then we also talk about peer pressure and anti-bullying, all those sort of things. And then in the centers, we address a need because a lot of people obviously are looking for after-school care, and Girls Inc. provides that and provides a healthy place for kids to go, a safe place. And we have a wraparound approach at Girls Inc. where we really try to embrace kids as part of our family and try to embrace their families, and everybody has a set of different challenges based on your family. And so Girls Inc. has been very instrumental in a lot of our after-school programs as sort of being helpful as far as like taking, if they have a need that's maybe, they don't know where to go, they can come to Girls Inc. and address that. So I don't know if that answers your question or if I can go into more detail on that.
Yeah, I think, have you seen results that you'd like to share with the community? Do you see less substance abuse amongst the women who participate in this program? Do you see that their literacy skills maybe improve their social, emotional well-being?
Thank you. That's helpful. Socially, emotionally, I would say definitely I see that. One way that we get outcomes is basically we have a lot of feedback from guidance counselors is one of the ways we get it. We also do a track system where we track surveys. We have surveys, a pre and post-test survey. So we track things like, questions about what they may be around substance abuse before and after the program, and we do see changes that way. Probably the most powerful outcomes I see are just from being in the program directly. And so, yeah, I see a lot of need in the community for these kind of small groups where the girls are just able to sit and talk about a lot of the challenges that they face, especially around like body image, peer pressure to look a certain way, to act a certain way, just the ability to cope with some of just daily stresses, especially as you get into middle school and that sort of thing. And so what I found the most powerful is just having someone to sit there and talk to them and be able to sort of voice their fears and have somebody walk them through that. That's been really powerful. And the same with substance abuse prevention. It's kind of one of those topics that I bring up and you realize how prevalent it is in their lives, especially in a lot of families. And so a lot of me talking to them about prevention, it brings up a lot of issues in their families where they're dealing with this at home and maybe they want to break the cycle. And so just bringing up a lot of these topics, you realize how much it is in the community and how many of the needs are out there. So I see a lot of impact as far as like over a year. I'll see girls that maybe were quite shy and not as open, and then over the year they become much more confident, and then by the end of the year they feel they're coping better and they're dealing a lot with their stress better and that sort of thing.
Let's talk a little bit about the leadership aspect of this, because I think particularly for women and just the direction our culture has taken, that leadership development, that self-esteem development becomes so critical for our young women as they move into the workforce, into life. What do you see as sort of the prevalent pieces? You mentioned body image. What else in terms of leadership skill development do you feel like you're really supporting that probably long-term will help create success in these young women's lives?
Well, I think the self-esteem is very important, and I think just having somebody talk to them, especially about body image and just the power to embrace who you are and be confident, that's a huge part of Girls Inc. And I think that just gives them the confidence to overcome some of the barriers they experience as they grow older and to push forward and push through things like, for example, we do a lot around science, math, and relevant technology, which is You know, a big term for that is STEM or SMART. And so we do a lot around science and math with girls, and so there's a lot of literature out there that girls sort of, when they get into middle school, they kind of start to silence their voice a little bit, and maybe if they were more vocal, they silence their voice, but also around science and math, a lot of girls will just sort of get a little bit more hesitant about academics and that sort of thing. So we try to be sort of that person that intervenes, or the agency that intervenes, to kind of like encourage them through the programs that we offer, which we have a program called Girls Build It, where we work a lot with different agencies or different companies that do stuff around engineering, and we work with girls on that. We do Girls Under the Hood, and there's a few pictures that I'll show you in a minute, where the girls work with partnered with different auto groups in the community to learn about changing a tire and stuff like that. So we try to keep it fun, keep it interesting, and also sort of get them to think more about, like, well, I could do this, or this could be a career that I do, and sort of overcoming those barriers. Another big program that we do, like I'd mentioned before, was economic literacy, where we teach girls a lot about how important it is to be financially independent, and how important it is to know your value, when you're trying to get a job, know what you're worth, and what makes the value. Well, it's important to consider going on to get secondary education and things like that. So we talk to girls a lot about things that are just sort of, we all know, but maybe you're never really told, and by telling them that, we're giving them a leg up, because we're already kind of preparing them to go out into the world and sort of advocate for themselves. And
so let's take a look at those pictures that you mentioned, because they're kind of fun to see.
Sure.
So we'll have Dave pull those up. What are we seeing here?
So this is one of the girls working in our program that is around, like I'd said before, our SMART program, science, math, and relevant technology, and she's working on building something. A lot of our programs in this particular curriculum focus on just learning how to work with science in a fun way. Can be anything from doing Lego League, where you're building machines and robots that do things and you go into competitions, or it can be things like just basic science, where you're learning about that kind of stuff. And this is just one of our girls. It's kind of a fun picture. I think this is one of our girls in one of our centers, and just sort of during our after-school program, flexing her muscles, being strong, smart, and bold.
Yeah, and I like that, because it really tells that's the message it sends.
Right.
That, she feels accomplished.
Yeah, having fun. And this is Girls Under the Hood, where the girls are working on the cars and learning about science in another creative way. So she's looking at a car, and they learn how to change tires and check the oil and all kinds of cool stuff. And the whole idea behind it is just trying to get past the stigma of girls aren't good at science and math, and trying to get past that and encouraging them that science can be fun, and you could have a career in this type of thing. So.
And I actually just read a statistic, interestingly enough, that women now lead that end of the educational force. So women going on to secondary settings now outnumber men in engineering, technology, many of these STEM kinds of fields.
That's great.
So women are now taking the lead on that. And I know that's because of a lot of great programs like Girls Inc. It's funny, because I always think of running with Girls Inc. And I think that was a lot of, what it was built around was sort of running clubs in the schools and empowering women through that. And it's become just this huge initiative that embraces so many more things for young women. What do you see for the future here in the Monadnock region for Girls Inc. and the work that can go on?
Well, I think, expanding into more schools is a great way to expand Girls Inc. I think that would be great. I think expanding into middle and high, especially, I think doing more in that population would be great. I think it would be great to do some after-school programming eventually. And, Keene has always been a target for Girls Inc. as far as growth potential. So, ideally to have a girls' center here would be great. If it took that direction, it would be fabulous, because I think we are looking to grow, and some of the areas we've looked at are also Hanover and that area, Upper Valley, and then down here in Keene. And I think there's a lot of untapped resources to do that in this area, but also I think that this community could use it. It sort of like makes sense if we're in Nashua, Concord, and Manchester to come to this area and have an actual girls' center where we'd run girl-focused programming, and we'd also have summer camps and our young women's leadership, and all in addition to running the outreach programs.
The Monadnock region has a lot of pride in how they collaborate together on projects like this, and we have some pretty significant after-school programs. How do you see this really enhancing that, really being a partner in that kind of work?
Well, I think complementing what they're already doing is one thing that Girls Inc. would do. I mean, I think Girls Inc. is a very much its own little niche where we focus on girls, and so I think maybe partnering where we could even come into after-school programs, existing programs, and bring programming through their programs, which we've done in the past in Monadnock County years ago. We did work with the 21C organizations, where we would go into existing after-school programs. If you had a Boys and Girls Club or something like that, we would come in, and then with that population, we would offer one of our research-based programs. So that's another way of partnering with other after-school programs. I think that some of the programs could fill a void that's maybe not being served. For example, our Young Women's Leadership program is for middle school and high school girls, and that we offer during the school year, but we in our after-school setting as well, but we also offer it during the summer, and it's a really cool program where girls have an opportunity to do things that they wouldn't normally do, and it's specifically targeted towards leadership. And last year we went to a lot of the girls got to go all over to see different companies and meet with people. They even did a TV station, so they got an opportunity to go to MUW and talk to, get a tour and all that stuff. So I think, just bringing something unique to the Monadnock County region, and obviously definitely partnering, because I think Girls Inc. is also very much about collaboration. So finding a way where we can leverage what's already being done and maybe fill voids where it's the programs aren't there that we can bring. So.
And that sounds very, very exciting. If a young person wanted to get involved, or if a parent thought this would be great for my daughter, or my granddaughter, or somebody they know, how would they get involved? Is it through the school? Do they reach out directly to you?
The schools definitely, like Troy and Fitzwilliam and Cutler will be doing definitely this year, and also in Peterborough we'll be doing the middle school this year. So you're reaching out if you want to contact the guidance counselors. That's one way. Another way would just be by, I think my email was up there. You could send me an email and let me know your interest. And if there is interest when we're going forward and when we're writing grants, then we're always looking for other schools to go into. And if there's an agency that's watching or a school that's watching, you can email me directly and say, hey, I'd love to have Girls Inc. at my school. I think this would be a great program to run here. That's a great way for me to connect with you. Or if you're another agency and you say, hey, I think we could partner, that's the best way to really connect. And I'm all about that, because I feel like Monadnock County, I'm just starting to get to know people here. So if reaching out to me and letting me know, I would absolutely welcome anybody who wants to talk to me further about getting involved.
So there's a couple ways people can reach out. The phone number, actually, I think the website and your email address were up on the screen. They can contact you through school guidance counselors to see if the program's available through their school system.
Right.
And they certainly can contact Monadnock United Way or 211 if they have questions about how to connect with you, and we can direct you folks to Melissa. So Melissa, any last thoughts that you want to make the public aware of?
I think I'd like to just also like to say that I don't know if I think I left this one piece out, and I think it's important to say that Girls Inc. is also, we have an advocacy piece of Girls Inc. where our headquarters for Girls Inc. is in New York City, but we have an advocacy office in Washington, D.C., and I just think it's important to know that Girls Inc. is always advocating for girls in that way. So I want to throw that out there just so you know. And then our national website is girlsinc.org. Our statewide website is www.girlsincnewhampshire.org. So both of those give you plenty of information. Also, we have some really cool events coming up if you really want to get involved in Girls Inc. We have a...
So we're actually at the end of our show, believe it or not, Melissa, so we need to wrap up.
Okay.
I want to thank you for joining us, and